Hello, and welcome to Law Talk. My name is John Celebrezze, and I'm the co-founder of the Celebrezze-Zangi Community Legal Education Project, as we call it, CZ-CLEP for short. Our organization provides continuing education about the judiciary and legislature to attorneys, judges, government officials, and the general public. As a career educator, I recognize early on how important legal matters are and how they impact our lives. I am the nephew of the late Anthony J. Celebrezze, who was the popular 5-term mayor of Cleveland and a member of President Kennedy's cabinets. As a tribute to his lifetime commitment to the legal process, we dedicate this show.
John's special guest today is Judge Eve Belfance, a native of Akron, Ohio. Judge Belfance earned her undergraduate degree from Yale University in 1984. In 1990, she graduated cum laude from Case Western Reserve University School of Law, where she served as an associate editor of the Law Review. Judge Belfance began her legal career at the firm of Calfee, Halter & Griswold in Cleveland in 1998. Judge Belfance was selected to serve as a federal judiciary attorney in Washington, D.C. Judge Belfance also served as an adjunct professor of law at the Cleveland Marshall College of Law at Cleveland State University. Judge Belfance was elected in the Akron Muni Court in 2005, re-elected in 2007. As a trial court judge, Judge Belfance handed out hundreds of cases, both civil and criminal, conducting both jury trials and bench trials. During her tenure with the Akron Muni Court, Judge Belfance played a central role in the development of the Akron Muni Court's DUI court, one of the first of its kind in Ohio. Judge Belfance was later elected to the 9th District Court of Appeals, which serves Medina, Summit, Wayne, and Lorraine counties. In her current role as an appellate judge, she considers appeals to both civil and criminal cases. Judge Belfance is very active in the community and is a frequent volunteer for many civic organizations as well as educational projects and enjoys teaching Sunday school. She currently serves on the board of Women's Endowment Fund, the Akron Bar Association Foundation. Judge Belfance is a member of the Scanlon Inn of Court as a bencher and the League of Women Voters, as well as multiple bar associations. She frequently is invited to speak to lawyers and other groups on a variety of legal topics.
Judge, it's a pleasure to see you again.
Well, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
And we certainly thank you for being our guest on Law Talk today and taking yourself away from your busy duties as our appellant judge. I guess I've known you long enough that you were a municipal judge.
That's right.
And now you're an appellant judge. So, well, I think we're going to jump right in because I think our viewers will have some questions here. We have had one of your colleagues on, Judge Dickinson, and we have talked about the Court of Appeals, the 9th District, which of course takes in Medina County. You are sitting in Wadsworth, Ohio right now. It actually takes in Medina and several other counties. What are the?
Summit, Lorraine, and Wayne.
So
it's 4-county district.
Four
and that varies across the state. Some districts, for example, the 8th district is comprised of just Cuyahoga County, and there are other districts that could have 9 counties in them. So it varies by population. And since this area is highly populated, it's a 4-county district.
Well, you see quite a diversification of people come to you.
Very much so.
In the northwestern part of the state, I was a teacher and administrator in Findlay, Ohio. That particular district spread out over 17 counties. It was sparsely populated.
Yes, yes.
Judge, what inspired you to become a judge?
Well, I would say 2 main things. The first, from a practical, inspirational, if you will. I was fortunate to serve as a federal judicial attorney in Washington, and so as I did that, I worked alongside my judge, participated in the cases, research and writing, and I loved it.
Really?
And I really thought, I think I could do this. And then I had the even more awesome experience of having children. And I think that when you have a child, or at least I can speak for myself, you feel that life isn't about you anymore. I think that you have this realization.
Yeah, I think I know what you're saying. Sure.
This is not about me anymore.
It's not about me anymore.
And so I think that as I thought about that, and I thought about what can I do in my life that is giving back, that is, serving, that is significant.
Sure.
And I think putting two and two together, I felt that there was something in me that I was well suited to do that
Sure.
work, and that would be a way that I could apply my gifts and my talents to something meaningful and something that would give back. And when I was approached about, someone suggested you should do this, I thought, I think I will. I think I'll try that.
Well, since I've known you,
so here I am.
You've done it twice. I remember
right.
when you ran for municipal court judge, and then I remember when you ran for appellate court judge.
Right.
So, well, in that we're talking about the 9th District Court of Appeals, which you call home these days.
That's right.
We had your colleague, Claire Dickinson, on the show earlier. So our viewers know somewhat about the 9th District Court of Appeals, but unlike Judge Dickinson, you're a little bit different. You sat as a municipal court judge and an appellate judge. You sat on 2 benches.
Right.
Can you compare the two for us, Judge?
Well, right off the bat, with respect to the role, the roles are very different. In the Court of Appeals, the role of the court, the role of the judge is to examine from above, if you will, whether the trial court judge made a mistake. Simple. It's almost like an instant replay of a sports event.
A sports event, yeah.
Where you
Good one.
are
good analogy.
Looking at the replay. And often, or let's say the U.S. Open, there was just the tennis match where somebody questions what the call was, and then they replay and you can see the ball bounce and it's, oh, no, that was out. Or no, that was actually in when the referee called it out. So it's very much that type of work where you have the opportunity to slowly and methodically look at the entire trial proceeding, and the party appealing is advancing arguments as to what happened that was wrong, and the court has to make a decision as to whether it was a correct rulings along the way, or whether there was something that was wrong, a mistake that was made that requires it to go back and be fixed.
I see.
So in the municipal court, you are actually the judge conducting the trial.
And a lot of times in a municipal court, you are what we call a bench trial. You're it.
You're it.
Probably more times than not, there's not a jury there. You can have a jury in municipal court, of course, but so.
Right.
And also, maybe you remember the numbers, the volume that comes through a municipal court. Do you have?
They're tremendous. I can't think of the actual statistics. I know that
it's in the thousands.
Oh yes, thousands. And so on a daily basis, you don't really in the municipal court. I would say one stark difference is you don't know what will happen that day.
Yeah, I can imagine.
The night before, there could have been a sweep and there could be a huge amount of people that got arrested, and you're going to be busy dealing with having initial appearances of those people who have gotten arrested, setting their bond, making decisions. Should they be let out of jail? Should they not be let out of jail? You could have multiple detectives coming to you to sign search warrants.
Yeah.
You could have probation officers telling you that a person that you had placed on house arrest just walked, or that someone walked out of an unsecured facility. It's very dynamic and very unpredictable in many ways. In the Court of Appeals, you pretty much know what's going to happen that day.
I imagine it's 2 real different places, isn't it?
It's very, very, very different.
Well,
but of course, the basic difference is that you are conducting the trials, and you are making split-second decisions. Someone is objecting to some evidence being offered, and the other side is saying, no, you should, no, you shouldn't, and then you must make that split decision. And it's that quality that it's a good thing we have courts of appeals, because sometimes the judge just simply gets it wrong. And it's that happens.
Safety net here.
It's a safety net.
But one of the things I think that would be good, Judge, for us to chat a little bit about before we leave the comparison, is that as a municipal court judge, particularly in a bench trial, I mean, I know you had jury trials as well, but and we've had Judge Chase on the show and Judge McIlvain, who are, as you mentioned, very busy guys who have real interesting stories to tell. But facts. I mean, as a muni court judge, as we called you properly or colloquially,
right,
whatever, a muni court judge has to look at facts and the law.
That's right.
You got to do it all. I mean, you're the
right.
jury and you're the judge,
That's
and
right.
you got to plug the two together
That's exactly
in a
right.
rather short period of time.
That's right.
But in the Court of Appeals, your facts, I mean, I guess facts are facts, Judge, but you're not taking any testimony from people. You're not really looking at exhibits. You're interested in the law, right?
Well, yes and no. You are certainly not, and I'm glad you said that, because a lot of people assume that we conduct jury trials in the Court of Appeals.
Oh yeah, they do.
And we don't do that, of course. We don't conduct a trial anew. We do, though, look at the evidence, because anything that we do in reviewing a case is very much driven by the arguments that are being made on appeal. Sometimes the arguments are relating to the evidence. For example, someone may say, well, that result was against the manifest weight of the evidence.
Okay.
Or there was insufficient evidence to support that conviction. So you will be looking at the exhibits that are, you will be looking at facts, you will be evaluating the facts, but you're evaluating the facts through the lens or in the context of the argument that's being advanced.
Yeah, almost
you're
like
not doing that independently.
Reevaluation of them.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a reevaluation. You can't, exactly, you have already the universe created. The universe is what happened at trial, and that remains static. There is either evidence that was admitted, or there may be evidence that was not admitted, but that's the universe that the Court of Appeals judge is going to be dealing with.
When you read about the facts of an appellant case, you don't see the players anymore, do you?
No, you don't, and that's also it's very significant in terms of the looking at the rules of appellate review. There are different ways that the law tells us we have to review different kinds of arguments and different kinds of errors, and one of those is a standard called abuse of discretion. And what that standard means that we can't, when the issue is factual in nature, when the issue has to do with a trial court judge evaluating the credibility of a witness.
I see.
Was that witness lying? Was that witness, was there a problem? Then we give more deference to what that trial court judge decided. However, if what's really being argued about is a question of law, we don't have to give any deference to what the trial court judge found. We review that, what we call de novo. We review that anew. And so there are a lot of rules associated with respect to how much deference we give to what the trial court did.
It's going to lead me to my next question, which you've already touched upon. Does your experience as a trial court judge ever affect your decisions as an appellant judge?
You know, I think that it's an enhancement, if you will. I think that having had the experience, you're often have an understanding of context, perhaps in a way that maybe an appellate judge might not have, because they weren't in it. They weren't in the trenches, so to speak. Yeah. So I think that, and I think it gives you experience with many substantive areas of the law that perhaps the non-trial court judge may not have encountered. So I think that again, it deepens your knowledge base in a way that I think is a good thing. So I think to that extent, I suppose that it influences your
certainly makes sense.
your decision making.